Hello everyone. Today we'll be reviewing the Invetero Coquette BlackFin based on the Corvette C1 produced between 1958 to 1962. This does share the headlights from the 1957 C1, um, but I want to clearly specify that this is closer to the C1RS Resto mod. I unfortunately cannot provide you any pictures because it's copyrighted, just like with most vehicles that I show here. But anyway, the customization selection is okay. It would have been nicer if there was more options available. But this vehicle did come out back in 2015 as part of the Ill-Gotten Gains DLC. So it's been in the game for about 10 years, a little bit over that. But for a car that's worth just under $700,000, it's very nice to look at. I really did not expect to like this since, there is a Corvette D1 similar to this car in the game that looks um, a bit nicer in my opinion. But still, for a resto mod, this car looks very good. The rear end looks just like the 1962 model. But anyway, here with the hoods, you do have a fine selection. These really aren't based off anything as far as I know. I could be wrong. These hoods might be based off a 50s model or a concept car, but most of it is just unique. I like how the Ram Air hood looks like. I might go for that. It also changes the badge. The lights here come stock in yellow, so I might as well just change them to a xenon. They're like halogen bulbs or something. For the color, I want to make this like a darker gray, maybe a black steel. I usually don't do these cars in silver or gray because those colors tend to be a bit boring for most people. But since this is a resto mod and it's supposed to be modern, a bit more futuristic, I might as well just do that. So you know what? I just love the way the black steel looks. I'm gonna settle for that. I'll also match the secondary color. I would have done it in red, but I feel like that there's too much secondary. It doesn't look that good, in my opinion. I feel like it's too much red. But so I'm just gonna match that to a black steel as well. For the roof, you can remove the roof. I feel like it does look a bit better with or without. But since this does come with a roll cage already, it really doesn't break the realism taking off the roof, right? Since you need a bit of that protection. It just looks a lot better without the roof since it has a roll cage on. Here, the spoilers look pretty decent. You do have a squared off option. The one in the bottom, the ducktail spoiler looks a bit better in my opinion. The way it just curves. You can lower the suspension, and it is very noticeable on this car, which is very good. Even though it comes stock with very large wheels, you'd think it would be hard to tell, but with a car like this, you can get it quite low. For the wheels, I'm gonna go for something modern since Rockstar wanted you to think that this is a resto mod, so I might as well make it a resto mod like they intended. Uh, but I'm gonna show you some of the other wheel options that I feel look good on this car. These right here, I love the way the Crackas look. It still has that classic and modern design infused. It's very hard to explain. The synthetic Z also work on this car very well. You know, I like the chrome as well. This would have been an easy second option for me right here. I don't know what you guys think. I feel like I did a good job with the first wheel that I chose. Of course, I'm gonna put the bulletproof tires. The lettering here, it's okay. It's up to you if you wanna put some lettering. But me personally, I'm not gonna do that. It looks like those are all the options. All that's left for me to do is to exit the garage and then give you a closer look at the engine model and discuss the performance. Detail is decent and texture quality is acceptable. As you can see, it does have all the little bits and components that you'd expect from a real life engine. Unfortunately, it is a lower texture quality, uh, which brings my rating down to acceptable since really not many people are going to be looking inside of the hood, the interior, the trunk. Only if you take this car to car meets, it's not going to be very acceptable to look underneath there. Same applies to the interior. The interior is very poorly done. Besides the steering wheel, the only thing I like about it is the steering wheel, but the seats don't really look good in the car. The trunk fabric looks pretty bad as well. But again, not many people are going to be looking underneath there, so it's not a big deal. The exterior of the car looks very well made, so I'll give it that. Speed is decent and handling is great. I feel like the performance could have been a bit better, especially this being in the muscles class and the handling being just so good. A vehicle in the muscles class normally doesn't handle this well and just is easy to control. But it just would have been nicer if this got like a speed upgrade. I doubt that this will ever have an HSW upgrade in the future. But with that stuff out of the way, I feel like it maybe could have been in the sports classics class over the muscles class. Uh, since this is a classic, and I also want to include that the real life Corvette uh, was only produced to compete against European classics or European sports cars, I mean. But with that stuff out of the way, if you guys are interested in this car and you're on PS5, please let me know. I'll be willing to meet you at the LS Car Meet. I'll give you my gamer tag, you give me mine, however you like. And I'll try to meet you as soon as possible. But that's all I got for today. And as always, thanks for watching.